Hello, everyone. Somebody sent me this article, and I wanted to share it with you guys. You know, the list just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the amount of corruption in our country can be overwhelming, but we serve a mighty living God, and I have no doubt He's going to set everything straight. But before I get into this particular article, I want to do an afterthought on Eric Holder throwing a party and serving out filet mignon. And hey, what's that fancy steak again, babe? I forget the name of it. That fancy steak that you keep mentioning. Chateaubriand. There's another one too. Beef Wellington. Okay, so we got Eric Holder serving out Chateaubriand and Beef Wellington to Yvonne Lamoureux and to Steve Scrocky, specifically calling out their wonderful work in bringing justice to the Schaeffer Cox case and saving America from the ills of this terrible domestic terrorist, Schaeffer Cox, and Lonnie Vernon and Coleman Barney, and even Karen Vernon, who Mrs. Grandma Banana Nut Bread Maker is serving another 10 years in prison. I don't know exactly when she gets out, but it's a long time. So I just want you guys to picture this. You know, Eric Holder, the Attorney General appointed by Obama, holds a party and gives a great speech to all the leaders in the Department of Justice. He specifically calls out the great work that Yvonne Lamoureux and Steve Scrocky did in prosecuting this terrible domestic terrorist, Schaeffer Cox. Now, is something wrong with this picture? I mean, we've got, you know, we've got real terrorists that want to destroy America. We've got problems with inner city crime. You know, people are being gunned down every day in our inner city by thugs and criminals. We've got people crossing the border illegally. We've got massive crime in our corporate world. We've got massive crime and cover-ups going on in the political agenda. But the main thing that's on Eric Holder's mind and what he's giving out bonuses for and what he's lifting up Steve Scrocky and Yvonne Lamoureux for is their work on the Schaeffer Cox case. He's not trying to pursue crime, the other criminal activities going on in America, specifically Obama's forged birth certificate, or anything that's going on with our media, or inner city crime, or, you know, some real live mass murders that I'm sure America has that the Department of Justice could spend their attention on. But when they get together and they pass out Beef Wellingtons and Chateaubriand and filet mignon, they talk about how wonderful it is, and they pat themselves on the back that Schaeffer Cox got sent to CMU prison because he's a big danger and he was conspiring to murder Tina Brukamp. You know, Brukamp. You got to be kidding me. These people make a boogeyman out of when there is no boogeyman. They pat themselves on the back, and they're able to do this because they've got unlimited money from the Federal Reserve. They don't know how to go after real boogeymen because they are absolute wicked and evil and cowardly to the core. And so let's get on to this article, because this will make you upset if you weren't upset about what I just covered. This is in the Huffington Post. I'll put the link in the description bar, as I always do. But the title of this article is, "For the first time ever, a prosecutor will go to jail for wrongly convicting an innocent man." I'm not going to read the whole article to you. I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs. That's really all I want to cover, but you can certainly read the whole article if you want to. Came out in October 16th of 2015, late last year. Today in Texas, a former prosecutor and judge, Ken Anderson, pled guilty to intentionally failing to disclose evidence. Wow, that seems to be something that we've heard in common before. Seems like Bottini did not disclose evidence. Seems like Scrocky did not disclose evidence. Seems like Miss Yvonne Lamoureux did not disclose evidence. So this judge used to be a prosecutor, now he's a judge. What does he look like? Well, that's him with his hands up. Hey, 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 I'm Judge Ken Anderson. I've lived a happy life, and I've done good things and lived a good life and got promoted, and I became a fancy judge. My name's Ken Morton. I got 25 years stolen from me for something I didn't do. That's a picture of Michael Morton. Sorry, Michael Morton. Let's continue to read. Judge Ken Anderson pled guilty to intentionally failing to disclose evidence in a case that sent an innocent man, Michael Morton, to prison for the murder of his wife. Not only did the man lose his wife, had to go through the trauma of that, but then he got blamed for killing her. And then the prosecutor at the time, whose name was Prosecutor Ken Anderson, and he became a judge later, He said, yeah, I'm guilty. I kind of withheld evidence and I knew he was innocent, but I wanted to further my career, and it would have been a notch in my belt to put an innocent man in prison. So it says, in a case that sent an innocent man, Michael Morton, to prison for the murder of his wife. When trying the case as a prosecutor, Anderson possessed evidence that may have cleared Morton, including statements that from the crime's only eyewitness that Morton was not the culprit. Anderson sat on this evidence and then watched Morton get convicted, while Morton remained in prison for the next 25 years. Anderson's career flourished, and he eventually became a judge. Wow! He sat on his butt on evidence that he knew a man was innocent. He didn't tell anybody, and he went on to become a judge and live a happy life, while Michael Morton sits in prison for 25 years. He even pled guilty to this when he was caught about it. And you say, well, what would happen to a man like that? That's an evil bastard reprobate. What's going to happen to a man who does something like that? Well, the next paragraph tells you everything that's going to happen to him. In today's deal, Anderson pled to criminal contempt and will have to give up his law license. You think somebody like that should give up their law license? Perform 500 hours of community service. The man's going to have to go around and pick up some trash. My goodness. And he got some jail time? Whoa, hold on. They actually sent him to jail. For how long did they send him to jail? 10 days. The man lost 25 years of his life. His wife was murdered. He was blamed and wrongfully convicted. This man knew he was innocent. And the judge and the prosecutor, they're going to spend 10 days in jail. 10 days. That's a little over a week. That's like a paid vacation. My goodness, this is a justice in America. Anderson had already resigned in September from his position on the Texas bench. Well, Judge Ken Anderson, how was your 10 days in jail? Do you think you got a little taste of 25 years? 25 years this man has lost? If anybody ever puts me in authority, I would guillotine your sorry head off your shoulders, what I would do. I would guillotine your head off your shoulders. I'd hold your head up by your scrawny little hair, your bald head. I'd put a suction cup on the top of your bald head because you don't got no hair. And I'd hold up your head from your headless body, and I would show it to the world and say, this is what happens to evil bastards that withhold evidence that suggests a man is innocent. When you're a United States prosecutor, you're supposed to show all the evidence. You're not supposed to withhold evidence that shows a man is innocent. This is an evil, evil, evil bastard. And 10 days in jail don't even come close to what this man deserves.